You know the feeling, that knot in your stomach after scrolling a feed or watching the news, the dread that the world is spinning out of control. That feeling isn't an accident, it's a product. You might think it's a natural reaction to the state of the world, but what if that manufactured anxiety is exactly what they want you to feel? What if the media isn't just reporting on fear, but actively selling it? This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a business model, a meticulously crafted machine that runs on our most primal emotion. It's a system designed not to inform you, but to inflame you, holding your attention hostage with a constant drip of panic, outrage, and despair, all to keep you watching, clicking, and scrolling. Today, we're pulling back the curtain to expose the psychological tricks the media uses to weaponize your fear for profit and control. This isn't about telling you to unplug from the world. It's about empowerment. It's about giving you the tools to see the system for what it is. By the end of this, you won't be a passive consumer of information. You'll be an informed navigator, able to separate the signal from the noise and break free from the grip of manufactured fear. To understand the manipulation, we have to start with our brains, which are hardwired with a finely tuned threat detection system. This is where the hack begins. We all have a negativity bias, an evolutionary hangover. Imagine two ancestors, an optimist and a realist. The optimist hears a rustle and assumes it's wind. The realist assumes it's a lion and prepares to run. The anxious one is the one who survives to pass on their genes. Evolution selected for brains that fixate on danger, meaning a single negative event carries far more weight than a dozen positive ones, and this survival mechanism is now turned against us. When you see a negative headline, your brain triggers a fight-or-flight response, flooding you with adrenaline and cortisol. Your body reacts as if the threat on the screen is a predator right in front of you. The problem is there's no predator to fight and nowhere to run. Studies show that minutes of negative news can significantly increase anxiety, leaving you marinating in stress hormones with no release. This constant low-grade stress cripples critical thinking. When fear is in the driver's seat, logic takes a backseat. We become more emotional, impulsive, and easier to control. The media exploits this vulnerability with ruthless efficiency. They aren't just telling a story, they're hacking our survival instinct. They know danger sells better than hope, and they have found our brain's primal panic button, pushing it over and over again for their benefit, not ours. So why does a multi-billion-dollar industry want to make us feel terrible? The answer is money. Modern media is not a public service. It's a commercial enterprise whose product isn't news. It's your attention, which it sells to advertisers. Welcome to the attention economy, where your eyeballs are the currency and nothing captures them like fear. The old newsroom adage, if it bleeds, it leads, is now the industry's entire operating system. Performance is measured in engagement metrics, views, shares, and comments. And data proves that content triggering fear, anger, and outrage outperforms everything else. A nuanced report on policy improvement won't make your heart race, but a story about a crisis or threat hits our primal negativity bias. You click, you share, and your fear is monetized. This creates a vicious feedback loop that gets traffic, so they produce more. Political campaigns knew this and mastered it long ago. The famous 1964 Daisy ad linked an opponent to nuclear war, pioneering fear-based campaigning. Today, social media algorithms amplify this a millionfold. They aren't designed to show you what's true. They're designed to keep you glued to the screen. If you click on a crime story, the algorithm feeds you more crime stories, as Forbes put it. Algorithms are inadvertently scouring the web for our greatest fears and angers in order to keep us saturated with them. You aren't seeing a reflection of the world, but a reflection of your own anxieties, amplified for profit. The result is a media ecosystem that relentlessly and profitably prioritizes sensationalism over substance. So, how do they do it? With a toolkit of manipulative techniques that you'll see everywhere once you learn to spot them. First is sensationalism and exaggeration, taking a real event and blowing it out of proportion. A local crime spree becomes a nationwide crime wave. A windy day becomes a bomb cyclone. They aren't lying, just wrapping a kernel of truth in panic. Next is emotionally charged and loaded language. Words are chosen to bypass rational thought and hit you in the gut. Compare an undocumented immigrant was arrested to an illegal alien was captured. The first is a fact, the second is designed to stoke fear. Words like invasion, chaos, and disaster are chosen to put you on high alert. Then there's decontextualization, or cherry-picking facts. A story can be technically true but extremely misleading. A report might highlight a rare vaccine side effect without mentioning it's far rarer than the disease itself. They show the violent moment at a protest but not the hours of peace. This constant barrage leads to mean world syndrome. Coined by scholar George Gerbner, this is the bias where people who consume negative media see the world as far more dangerous than it is. If you only see crime, you'll believe it's common, even if statistics show it's declining. Gerbner's research found the more TV people watched, the more they distrusted others. Finally, all this is amplified by filter bubbles and echo chambers. Algorithms feed you content that confirms and deepens your fears, placing you in a digital hall of mirrors. Combined, these tactics create a media environment that isn't reporting on the world, but actively constructing a version of it that is far darker and scarier than reality. This weaponized fear isn't just a personal problem, it's socially corrosive. The clearest result is extreme political polarization. A story about bipartisan cooperation is boring, but a story about tribal warfare is compelling. Media frames politics as a zero-sum battle between good and evil, where compromise is betrayal and the other side isn't just wrong but evil. This fear-soaked environment also makes us susceptible to authoritarianism. When people are afraid, they crave security. They become willing to support strong leaders who promise protection, even at the cost of civil liberties. Fear of crime or terrorism is used to justify mass surveillance and militarized policing. This also erodes public trust. When every science, institution, government, or the media itself is constantly framed as corrupt, people lose faith in everything. A shared fact-based conversation becomes impossible, leading to a news fatigue that causes people to disengage completely. The end result is civic paralysis and learned helplessness. The world is presented as a series of overwhelming crises. Why vote or get involved if everything is doomed? A fearful, divided, and passive population is far easier to control than one that is engaged and optimistic. Recognizing the game is the first step to empowerment. You can break this cycle by consciously changing how you engage with information. First, practice mindful media consumption. Become an active observer. Before, during, and after you consume news, check in with yourself. Ask, how is this making me feel? Is this useful, or just designed to trigger an emotional response? Simply noticing this can break the spell. Second, curate your feed and choose sources wisely. You control your information diet. Unfollow outrage-driven accounts. Actively seek sources that prioritize nuance and context, like long-form journalism or experts with a sober tone. Third, seek out nuance and context. The world is rarely black and white. When you see a charged story, look for different perspectives. Use a media bias chart to see how various outlets cover the same event. Comfort with complexity is a powerful antidote to simplistic fear-driven narratives. Next, develop your critical thinking skills. Treat information with healthy skepticism. Ask, who created this and why? What are you missing? Learn to spot the tactics. Before sharing something emotional, take 30 seconds to verify it. Finally, balance your information diet and take action. The antidote to helplessness is agency. Seek out stories of progress and solution-focused journalism. Then pick one thing you care about and get involved, even in a small way. Volunteer, donate, or join a local group. Action transforms you from a fearful spectator into an active participant, reminding you that you are not powerless. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disconnect. Go for a walk. The real world is far less terrifying than the one on your screen. We've pulled back the curtain. Now you can see the design behind the anxiety and the fear as a product being sold to you. This awareness is your shield. Your weapons: mindful consumption, critical thinking, decisive action. And with them, you reclaim your attention, your peace of mind, your power. No longer a pawn in the attention economy, you can rise as a resilient, engaged citizen. And this personal victory carries a collective force. Every person who chooses conscious consumption weakens the business model built on our fear. If this resonated, share it. The more we expose how fear is weaponized, the more we can break free together. Drop your strategies for managing media anxiety in the comments. Let's build a living toolkit and navigate this world side by side. Thank you for watching. Congratulations, you've just taken another step toward mastering psychological self-defense. Here on Psych-Jitsu, we dive deep into neuroscience-based tactics, psychological strategies, and martial arts mindset training to help you protect your mind and navigate any situation with confidence. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Psych-Jitsu isn't just theory, it's your first line of defense.